Okay, I'm going to do a brief demo here on a couple of the IP, or on one of the IP clock systems and PA systems that we're looking to implement here at Upper Valley Career Center. These are from a company called Advanced Network Design. This project does have to be bid out, so we're not guaranteed necessarily to get these devices, although we're leaning heavily towards these devices if at all possible, just because we really like the functionality of them. The top one is the one I'm going to demo this morning. That's their largest digital display, IP clock, and PA. The one on the second shelf there, I'll tip this down just a little bit so you can see it. That smaller one would be the ones that would go in the traditional classrooms. The one at the top here that I'm demoing would be, we'd only have probably about 8 of those. Those would go in the high bay labs, labs that need a much larger display and more volume. In addition to the 2 speakers on the side, we would also be tying these clocks in certain locations, like in the high bay lab, to the existing bullhorn speakers that are also part of the old PA or the current PA system. We'd leave those bullhorns in place and tie those into the sound system for these IP clock and PAs. As well, that would allow us to get even more audio in there, because those labs can get quite loud, especially when there's a lot of machinery running. So I'm just going to go down through several of the text displays. So you can kind of see some of the capability. We have scrolling capabilities. We have the ability to change the colors of the clocks, do some special, although I think that one's a little difficult to read. Still text, you can scroll right to left, you can scroll up and down, you can scroll top to bottom. You can do flashing text messages. You can do 2 lines of text or even 3 lines of text on these larger clocks. You can also do that on the smaller clocks. The issue is obviously these clocks are smaller. The LED panels, they have the same configuration of LEDs, but obviously the text is going to be smaller. But those classrooms are smaller as well. So there's the high priority text messages. Notice these clocks also do have LED flashers, and those LED flashers can be configured in any way. So for example, if there's an important message here, they have all 3 of the LEDs flashing. You could obviously have just 1 LED flashing. So those can be configured in any specific ways. You do have certain bitmaps that you can send out. So these graphics, like a lockdown scenario. This also could be accompanied with an audio tone or signal, as well as LEDs flashing in any configuration you want. There's a tornado bitmap. There's even one in here for pizza, believe it or not. So you can also create any type of graphics that you can do. Now the LED colors are green, yellow, red, orange, basically. So that's the color configurations that you have options on. So again, to demonstrate the flashers, there's flashers on, there's a slow flash. And again, you don't have to have all 3 of the flashers going on at one time, or LED strobes. You can do them one at a time. I'm also going to real quickly demo here a couple of the bell tones. Now the audio signal that you're going to hear can be replaced with any other wave file. .wav is just an audio file, so you can have any sound basically played out. But this is the bell quiet. This is the bell loud. There's the fire quiet, and notice it also has the fire graphic. Okay, so I'll get out of those sounds. And again, the audio file that plays, it can be any audio file. The nice thing about this system is it can be integrated with a software called Informacast. It can be integrated in with our alarm system, so when an alarm is pulled, a traditional fire alarm is pulled in the hallway or whatever, it would also signal these clocks to all go into their alarm state as well. So it's kind of it integrates those systems together. It also acts as a PA system, so I'm going to just dial. This particular clock actually has an extension, much like a phone, so we can use it with our Cisco phone systems. So this particular clock's extension is 150. We might get a little bit of feedback here because I'm sitting right next to the clock, but I'll show you what it looks like when a phone call goes out to this. The nice thing about this is this will allow us to page literally into any individual room. Right now in our existing system, we don't have that functionality. If we need to page a student, basically we have to do a page and all call, which obviously interrupts educational process in every classroom in the building. With these particular IP clock systems, because each clock is addressable on its own, I can call into a specific classroom. When I call into a specific classroom using the PA on the clock, it also engages a microphone on the clock so the teacher can respond. So for example, if a parent comes in, student has a dentist appointment, student forgot about it, student services needs to call down to a specific room. They can call into that specific room. Could you send Mr. Smith down? His mom's here to pick him up. The teacher can reply, okay, he's on his way. There is no way for the teacher to initiate a call from this particular clock. They obviously have their phones in their classroom, so they can do that. But if somebody initiates a PA page into that room over the clock, the teacher can respond. So here's what that looks like. Okay, and as you notice, it showed on the phone, it showed who was calling. So my phone extension 402 has my name associated with it, so it shows who's calling. You got a tone at the beginning, you had a couple LED lights that came on, and then it also showed a microphone graphic on the screen indicating that the microphone on that particular clock was engaged. And again, those flashers and that tone that sounded when the call came in, those can all be configured however we want. We could have just the red light flash, we could have a different tone, we could even show a different graphic, page in progress or something of that nature. Again, just a brief demo so the board can see kind of what we're looking at in terms of an IP clock system and a paging system. Gives us much more functionality than we have in our old Bogan system. This is also a clock system that once it's in place, we should be able to maintain it in-house much easier, because each one of these clocks is basically like a computer hanging off the network. So we already support our own network, where with the Bogan system, that's a completely different animal. Quite frankly, when we have issues with that, we have to have outside vendors come in and work on that system. And one of the problems that we're running into is that system is old enough and there are few enough people in the area that work on those systems that sometimes we can be 30 to 45 days from the point of having an issue with our Bogan PA system to actually getting that issue fully resolved, which is obviously frustrating for the teachers in the areas where the paging system might not be functioning properly. So hopefully this gives you a brief overview of what we're looking to do with our clock and PA system. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mr. Gibson or myself, Mr. Bowser, and we can certainly answer any of those questions. Thank you.